Sleeves here with your Senior Pickleball Report powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Today, folks, we have a great interview with two guys, classy dudes, Mattias Johansson and Paul Olin, champions pros, 50 plus. Two guys have been battling each other for the last couple years on the singles court and have recently teamed up to play some doubles and have won there as well. These two guys have quite the rivalry and have developed quite a cool and unique friendship. But before we get to that, you know what to do. Check all the links in the description below for your discounts. Sign up for that newsletter so you don't miss anything. Subscribe to the channel. Help us out. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. And hey, check out our merch page as well, as it's starting to get pretty cool. All right, folks, let's get to that convo with Paul and Mattias. Mattias Johansson and Paul Olin, welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, Sleeves.
Absolutely. So this is what I would call, in the early stages of professional pickleball, this is the rivalry. And because you guys are champions pros, senior pros, you don't necessarily get the ink or the credit or the promotion that, the Ben Johns or the Annalie Waters of the world might get. You guys have played, well over 50 times. The record is pretty much a dead heat, and you're still doing it. If anybody watches Senior Pro Pickleball, Champions Pro Pickleball, and they watch singles, and you two are in the field, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be you two in the final. So let's talk about really, we can go back and talk about how you got into pickleball and all that, but let's really start with what this means, because Paul, you came onto the scene first and really dominant right out of the gate. You pretty much were beating everybody. And then a couple years later, Mattias shows up and you have somebody to play. So let's talk about when he entered the picture and where your game was at and how you felt about your game, and then having somebody to be a rival.
Yeah, it goes in waves. We'll have our turn. There'll be somebody really good. And there's already a bunch of really good players that are out there,
right.
And
right.
They will start beating us in due time. And when I first got into the game at the senior level, Scott Moore was the guy to beat,
right? And
I initially didn't have success against him, but then finally figured him out. And then I had a brief window of success versus most players, and then the first time I saw Mattias was out in Las Vegas. From a distance, he was actually playing Scott Moore and gave Scott Moore quite a battle. I think Scott came out on top, but Scott came over to me after that match and said, "This guy's going to be really good." And it was probably a tournament later that he was really good. And ever since then, we've gone back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've watched that probably more than most people have. I've probably seen a majority of the matches between you two. And if anybody hasn't, I recommend they go on YouTube and look around a little, because it's very high quality ball. Mattias, you come on, and, Paul's kind of the man at this point. And obviously Scott Moore is not gone away. A guy who's still, a tough player. Were you aware when you came into the senior pro game of these people, or did you just kind of come in and go, wow, this is who's in front of me?
I mean, I've heard about the name Paul Olin. I did. But when I came to the first one in Vegas, that was actually, I played a 4.0 tournament before, and I didn't know it was senior pros out there. And somebody told me that, okay, it's a senior pro tournament in Vegas. You should go play that one. And I said, okay. And I think obviously I have no seedings, right? So I think I ended up playing Scott Moore in the second round. I got a, backdraw match first, they're coming into the number 1 or 2 seed or whatever it was. But I didn't know. And I lost to Scott in 3. I had no idea that it was a backdraw match. And I thought, that you go through the loser bracket, and I could care less, because for me, it was you know, you lost, right? But all of a sudden you play this backdoor match and I lost in the backdoor match. And then I find out afterwards, if I would have won, I could actually have reached the final or not final, moving on forward. So then I'm sitting there watching the Scott Moore and Murcha and Paul, you know, in the top three there and the center court. So I definitely knew after that who they were. I've heard a few of the names before. I said, you know, I was jealous, and I said one day hopefully I can compete with these guys as well. And that's really how it started. And I got going after that.
Right. And so obviously this is like early or mid 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's October 21. It's actually 2020, right? So it's 3 years.
2020.
In October. Exactly.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, right. And so obviously, eventually, you guys start playing each other on a pretty regular basis in the finals of, you know, senior pro singles. Paul, talk a little bit about your style of play, and then going up against Mattias and his style of play, and what that sort of did in maybe I don't know, your game evolved. Did you have to make some serious changes right away? Talk me through that a little bit.
Before Mattias showed up, I didn't really think about my style of play. I just, you know, you had an opponent, and, you know, like I think almost anybody does, you look at their strengths and weaknesses and just try to go after their weaknesses and hopefully be successul. Right. Mattias got me thinking a lot. You know, when you start losing, you tend to think more. And you know, and we eventually started sharing a lot of these conversations because we kind of go on streaks. He'll beat me
right
3 or 4 or 5 times in a row, and I'll feel like I'm never going to beat him again, and then I'll get on one of those streaks, and he feels the same way. So we just started talking, and to me, that has been the most satisfying thing beyond the friendship with Mattias, is just figuring out not only each other's game, but it's helped us get better as players individually. So yeah, so now I do think more beyond just strengths and weaknesses. And, you know, there's a lot more strategy now going into the game. You talked about our styles of play. You know, Mattias hits the crap out of the ball, and I can't, you know, and when I go through my ruts against Mattias, it's usually because I'm trying to hit the ball as hard as he can, and I can't do that. So, you know, I guess I've evolved into more of a placement type player over power. And you know, Mattias is power, but on the flip side, I know his placement and his touch has gotten so much better as well. And I think we've both of our games have evolved a lot on the singles court to get better in the areas where we weren't always as strong.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I remember, and I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a U.S. Open match between you two, and I was watching. You just seemed utterly defeated. And I was like, this guy, he just might be done against Mattias. And then I don't know how much longer, but all of a sudden you went on a tear and you were beating him. And I was like, this is fascinating, because I know I played enough sports and enough, you know, competition in my life that when somebody can start handing it to you on a regular basis, it's tough, because you start questioning everything you're doing and how you're approaching it and how you practice and how you mentally go through a game. And so I was impressed with that, seeing you in that sort of frustrated moment, then turning it around and then going on a streak of your own where, you know, you started winning more and more matches, and particularly against Mattias. And so talk me a little bit about that, because obviously there was a point where he was starting to win consistently, but then something happened. I don't, you know, physically, mentally, both, but you touched on it a little bit, and you became more of a touch player.
Well, he helped me out. That was one tournament up till then that I hadn't won, and that meant a lot to me. And in fact, the year before he showed up, I was upset. I think in the quarterfinals by Scott Fliegelman, another great player.
Yeah.
And then the next year, Mattias shows up, and I didn't play well getting to the finals. But when I got in the finals against Mattias, I played really well. It's one of the best matches I've ever played, and he still destroyed me.
Yeah.
And I walked off the court, you know, very defeated. Like, I played as well as I can, and he destroyed me.
Right.
But at the same time, it opened my eyes that, you know, there's going to be days where some people are just going to play so well, and you just got to tip your hat to them. And he said something to me afterwards. I don't know if it was in the first or second game. I think it was in the second game. So he beat me pretty soundly in the first game. In the second game, I don't know. I'm making up the score. It was like 4-4 or something. So it was close early. And we had a really long point where I had an opportunity to win the point, but just didn't execute. And he goes, you win that point, it's a completely different match. And just that one point. And, and it was valid because the roles have reversed on both of us so many times where we're both really good when we get ahead. But when we're behind, we still do a pretty good job of coming back, but our games aren't as free and open as they are when we're ahead. We're both much better front runners. And he just kept that lead and kept building. But if I had won that point, his point was it could have gone a different way. Yeah. And we've certainly had a lot of matches along that way. And, I against this guy, if I'm up 10-0, I'm not comfortable because I know it can be one point that can just turn it the other way. And we've had that.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and it's pickleball, and that happens a lot. And then you're playing a guy of that stature. Mattias, I mean, I've watched a ton, way probably too much senior pickleball in my life, but it is a tight-knit group. And to have, conversations like Paul just mentioned, whether it's, just a word or two at the nets or hanging out afterwards, you've played enough, obviously, high-end tennis and pickleball. What's the difference, though, really, in these friendships that have developed, and particularly with Paul, as opposed to, maybe something, in tennis or some other things you pursued?
Well, I think, number one is since we played each other so frequently all the time, it's almost feels like when we both enter a tournament, sooner or later we will play each other in that tournament. And when you do that and we are so even matched up, it becomes, that sometimes you cannot really be upset when you lose. And then it's not necessarily a good thing because we have to be upset when you lose. Otherwise, it means that you don't want it enough. So that's the friendship part has come in, because I think he has helped me to be a better player. He pushed me, and I hopefully has pushed him to be a better player. And again, when we exchange ideas about, the strategy, or actually sometimes we actually sit down how to beat each other, how should I play you? And we actually talk about it, and we have done that. We haven't done it in the last year, maybe because maybe we got a little bit smarter and say, hey, maybe you should hold back a little bit of information here, because when we did that, I felt like actually Paul went on a 6-game winning streak, was last summer. I mean, I felt like I would never beat him again at that point. I'm now start thinking, maybe he got the best of that conversation than what I get from him at that time. But it's been other times as well that, stuff that he said, and I, really thought about it after the fact and said, if I can change a little bit of this, maybe I have a chance to beat him again. And all of a sudden, again, it turns around. So, but it's such a unique, situation. I feel the friendship, having a good friend in him, and we're helping each other with other other players too. All these new players come out, if you play a new guy we haven't played, we definitely talk about it, this, likewise if I play one. So that's somewhat a little bit of security, knowing that somebody else watching out for you a little bit there. With we want to try to stay on the top as long as we can, and obviously the older we get, the harder it will be. But hopefully we have another whatever months or a year left or whatever it is for this to keep going.
Right. Yeah, I can look at a guy like Scott Moore. I mean, and what he's done is absolutely, it's mind blowing in some aspects. He's still, he can enter a singles tournament and he can get right there in it. And I don't know how old is he. How old is he now? Is he 62, 3? I mean, the guy's still moving. He's still long. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. He's in great shape. That's for sure.
Yeah. And, and mentally tough. And I think what I've seen really from both of you, and obviously a guy like Scott Moore as well, is resilience. You just keep pushing on and you keep trying to figure out this chess match. So let's talk about, we've kind of gotten to the friendship here, but great friendships a lot of times are personality contrasts a little bit. And, you look at the Borg and McEnroe relationship and Rafa and Federer. So let's talk, Paul. Give me a little bit about your background and how you approach, life in general, and then how that relates to your pickleball. And then I'll ask the same of Mattias, and we can see, like, where you two are coming from, in life in general.
I don't know. So I come from my previous profession as a pilot. I tend to analyze everything.
Okay.
So, and I think that's what drew me to pickleball, is just, it's more than just hitting a ball. I like looking at things and trying to figure out things. But I have a short fuse. So I think that's where we contrast, and a lot of, I get a lot of people coming up to me, "Oh, you're so calm on the court," but they haven't watched me enough.
Yeah.
And inside it's a constant struggle between, positive and negative energy. And that's where, I'm much better when I play people like Mattias and Scott Moore through the years, because for me, the pressure is removed because I know I have to play well. If I don't have my A game, I don't have a chance. So in a way, I don't feel the pressure as much.
Okay.
I just go out there and just do my best. So I get at times a little bit more, my behavior is maybe not the best on the court. Just to draw a contrast between me and Mattias. I try to remain respectful, and I do my best. And I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Well, nobody is. Well, Mattias, how about yourself? Like, how do you approach it? What's your personality, and as compared to how Paul approaches the game?
Well, I mean, I think the key for me knowing that I'm prepared, that if I'm prepared, knowing that I have done my due diligence, I do a lot of mental training. I need to have a certain set amount of practices before a tournament starts. Whether or not I hit the ball good or not, that necessarily is less important, but it can be important for me. If I don't feel it at all, I have to add more and more practice. So I'm more of the, my life is working hard to get somewhere, because I'm not very talented in almost nothing, right? So hard work is the way that I brought up, and in order to get somewhere, you have to work hard at it, and there's a little bit of the styles too. Yes, I maybe hit the ball hard, but it's not very gracious. Paul is very, look at his strokes, it's that rolling ball, the precise, loopy ball that you cannot reach. Well, I'm more, short swings, but, hard, and it just goes, right? Completely different style of it. And, that's, I was not blessed with talent in the same way, but again, hard work kind of made it up. And so, yes, preparation for me is the key.
Yeah. And maybe a little bit of talent, right, Paul?
There's a ton of talent. And, and I think that something he said is, he needs a certain number of practice sessions. And, I don't know how, he's on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, so we don't practice a lot together unless we get to a tournament. But I can see that on any given day, Mattias consistently gets better as the day goes on. So I always have to get him early. So, I mean, just to throw, 3 stats out, a lot of it's very close, but we played 54 times.
Right.
128 and I've won 26. In the overall point scored, I've scored 1,033 and he's scored 1,016. So everything's really close, but what is not close is every time we've gone to a game to 15, and I think it's 5 or 7 times, he's undefeated. So I've never beaten him in a game to 15. And in fact, only 2 of them have I gotten more than 10 points. So he routinely blows me out in games of 15. And I think that is not because I'm playing any worse. It's just he really does get better as the day goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just he's that type of player. I think that, just when that repetition, he finds his
Right.
groove, and
Right.
that's
Right.
all I do every time I play him is I just have to keep him out of his groove somehow.
Are you looking to stay up to date on the latest pickleball news and tips? Look no further than the Sleeves Senior Pickleball Report newsletter. Get the scoop on the sport, learn how to stay healthy while playing, and find out about upcoming tournaments. Subscribe now to get all the pickleball info you need.
Hey, if you're looking for very, very comfortable court shoes, in fact, the most comfortable court shoes I've ever worn, and I've worn a lot of them over the years playing different sports, try Fitville. We have a link in the description that gets you $20 off your purchase.
New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL, great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle. It's the future. Sounds like we need to get rid of that game to 15 and shorten it.
Yeah, I'm pushing for it now.
Hey,
no,
so
actually, I'm not, because I need to get one. I need to win at least one.
Exactly, right. I mean, those stats are amazing. I think the games is impressive, but the points, I mean, you're talking 2,000 points plus, and it's like, like 14 or whatever the number is difference. That's insane on some. Is the number 15? Because if that's the point, maybe it says number 15. That's
it's 17 points differential.
17 point. That's insane. Wow. Let's shift gears here a little. You guys won a doubles tournament together.
Yeah.
And hey, I've always said, watching you two, I'm like, God, if these guys can play doubles consistently together, I think they, just the makeup of Mattias's length and Paul's touch in those things, I think it could be a heck of a team. So let's talk about that win and where we're going from it. So Paul, why don't you start a little bit? Playing doubles, obviously completely different thing, different type of chess. But, you guys have been playing more and more tournaments over the last few years and rising up the ranks and hitting the podium, and now you're winning. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you like to, first and foremost, when you team up with somebody in doubles, you want to get along and you want to, enjoy the game more so than anything. I think, for both of us, it's more, I don't know, it's tough. Winning is enjoying, but you have to enjoy it to win. So which comes first? I don't know.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure that out. But win or lose, we've always enjoyed each other's company. And we both like to figure things out. And,
Right.
we both know that we're not the best doubles players out there. But we feel, like you said, with our talents that we can have some success.
Yeah.
We've played a few tournaments. I remember our first tournament in Hilton Head. We came out in the first round and just absolutely destroyed a team. And our opposing team came out and they said, "You will never lose to anybody." And then we lost the next two matches very easily.
Yeah.
So we learned that, we had to improve upon certain areas, and, we struggled a bit, but I always felt like it's just because we weren't executing. And that's what it comes down to. It's like us in singles. If one of us is not executing, it's not going to happen. But
right.
I think we have some pretty good game plans. We transitioned to, instead of playing doubles, let's just play our game. Let's play to our strengths and see where it takes us. And I think that's what we did the last time around. And we had some good bounces go our way, but through the course of the day, we stayed a lot more consistent than we normally are. And, that gave us an opportunity to win. And, Mattias is such a big hitter. I know playing against him, I don't want to be playing against him at 13 all, because I know he's going to bring it, but it's hard to counter his power. And I want that on my side.
Absolutely. And how do you drop a ball in the kitchen on that kind of length?
It's hard.
Yeah. So Mattias, what, obviously playing against Paul for, a few years now, other side of the net, talk about what it's like playing doubles and trying to figure out that puzzle together.
Yeah, I mean, first off here, when Paul mentioned something that he said, we are not necessarily good doubles players, but if you really look at the stats there, and I don't know the answer to this, but I know it's a lot. And the question should be asked, how many doubles titles do you have this year, Paul? Can you answer that question first?
I don't know, Mattias. I only track me versus you.
Okay. But on my hand, I think it's at least 6, maybe even more this year. 6 or 7 doubles tournament that Paul has won this year.
Yeah.
With a lot of different partners, right? So for him saying that he's not a good doubles player, it's actually I'm the weak link, and I know it, and it took me a lot longer to actually figure out. And I actually changed the paddle now, a lot more better touch with my new paddle, engaged paddle, and I feel a lot better overall with the strategy and really how to do it. What Paul has been banging into my head for a long time here, it finally started getting into my head how to play the game and where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do. And I think, I'm hoping that will show even next time we play, this was not just a one thing situation where, Paul had to carry me to my first gold and first title, because it was my first title. And what better way to play it and do it with Paul, right? I mean, it's kind of almost significant for the rivalry here too, that he was the one who brought me my first gold in doubles as well. So I'm really looking forward to more opportunities there. And I think, I'm spending a lot of thinking and time about my doubles game. And I think as of lately, even after Denver, I've been playing a lot better doubles. So I'm looking forward to the next one together.
Yeah, I mean, my dream is to see you guys as a team. Like, this is the team, sort of like the mixed is with, Rick and Beth. They play together when they can. I'd love to see that, because I do love watching both of you play singles, and it just seems like a really good on paper matchup or, partnership. And, you got your win. And so maybe that's the momentum and the confidence as a team that you need. Paul's obviously been winning doubles tournaments more and more, and I've been watching him on NPL, and he's solid there all the time. So let's talk though, because I don't know how much prioritizing Paul's been doing, and I haven't been paying necessarily attention to all of it, but when it comes to the physical part of the game, and you go and you play these bracket style tournaments, and you're playing singles, and you're playing mix, and you're playing gender doubles, and I know Mattias has had issues with his body and his knee and things like that. Does it come to a point where you have to prioritize some of these things, and where you think that you're going to get the most out of as far as winning or points or whatever you want to accomplish in the game? And so, Mattias, we'll start with you, because you struggle with some issues. Is doubles going to eventually become more of a priority because singles can be so rough on the body?
Yes and no. I mean, I think I will, the day when I cannot play singles any longer, I wonder if I'm not done with pickleball, right? I don't see myself not playing singles and only playing doubles necessarily.
Okay. Yeah.
But said that though, for me, priority right now is singles and doubles. And probably if there's any event I would skip, it would be mixed doubles here. Because mixed is pretty rough on the body as well. After a single stage, you have to move a lot there. And singles, you kind of control where the ball is going and the angle, but as soon as you have somebody else doing it, their thinking process is different than yours, right? So it actually adds a lot more mileage on the body to adding that last event.
Right.
And I do enjoy playing mixed. If something has to go, and I will probably play, I don't know, a third of the tournaments, maybe I will still play mixed. Because it's so much fun. When you're there, you don't want to sit one day, but sometimes you have to, maybe with my work schedule as well, that I have to skip it for that reasons. But body wise, I mean, I'm going to play singles as long as I can. I'm telling you that much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just me.
Right on. Paul, how about yourself as far as prioritizing a particular
I prioritize doubles. First and foremost, I mean, this rivalry aside, that's my best memories so far, and winning doubles with Mattias is certainly at the top of my most rewarding moments in pickleball.
Yeah.
But singles is hard, and
Yeah.
you know, I enjoy it when it's over. I don't enjoy it playing it.
Yeah.
And so for practice, I rarely, you know, I just normally just drill doubles drills all the time. And then maybe the day before the tournament, I'll hit some ground strokes.
Yeah.
But physically, yeah, I think I will. And this year I did a little bit up to the US Open, which was in April. I didn't play any singles prior to that.
Okay.
Just the body wasn't feeling good, and just mentally I wasn't just ready. You know, doubles is harder in some ways mentally because I think it takes a lot more focus, but you have a partner to help you through the rough patches.
Yeah.
You know, in singles, it's just you out there. So I not only physically do I need to be ready to go for singles, but mentally I need to be a little bit more focused. So I took some time away from singles early on in the year. And then since then, you know, I really go tournament to tournament. If I'm feeling good, I'll play. You know, I'm definitely going to play doubles, mixed doubles. If I can get a partner, I'll
Sure.
play.
Yeah.
And then if something's going to drop, it's probably going to be singles for me at this point. But lately, I haven't dropped a singles tournament since April. So, you know, knock on wood, I've been holding up physically. So,
right.
I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. I don't think most people that play casual pickleball have any idea the amount of physicality it takes to play 3 events in a weekend. And then if you play the US Open and you start playing split age or whatever you want to drop in there, and the amount of tour events that y'all have been playing over the last few years, it's incredible that you're still going, because I play pickleball a fair amount and I drill a lot, and I'm like, man, I am beat up and I'm not playing high level game after game, you know, tournament after tournament, like, you know, the two of you and many others are doing. So I credit to y'all doing that. So let's shift here finally about, you know, the state of senior champions pro pickleball, because obviously the majority of the news in the pickleball world, the pro pickleball world, has been, you know, the PPA, MLP, a little bit of APP to the side stuff and what's happening there. And, you know, kind of the push of the senior game to the edges and the peripheral of money and recognition. And Mattias has, you know, put his heart and soul into getting the senior pro tour going, bracket play, and getting those numbers back up, and the recognition and the money. And obviously, Paul's playing in NPL, and they're doing the team aspect of it and doing fantastic things. So, Mattias, talk about the senior pro tour and what it took to kind of get that off the ground when everybody's focused so much on open pro, you know, ball.
My feeling was, you know, after the end of last year, when you know, whatever happened between PPA and APP there with the buyout and everything else there with the players, there was no money or no really very much uncertainty about senior pros, right? And we went to the tournaments and the prize money was way, way low. And we did not get any streaming court. We got pushed to court 38B, you know, playing finals. Nobody really knew that we were playing. So if that would have continued, I obviously would have quit pickleball myself. There's no point of traveling around and doing what I'm doing. And I'm pretty sure that the senior pro pickleball would be gone after a year, because I cannot be the only one feeling the same way. Right. So something needs to happen. And that's my only goal by starting the senior pro tour, would be to, you know, infuse enough, all the prize money goes back. I mean, entry fees go back into prize money. So the prize pool is going up. Right. And, you know, hopefully by that point, sooner or later, in my opinion, when I started was APP and maybe PPA, when they start losing players, because hopefully players will go to senior pro tour and play this event, because we got paid what better than APP and PPA, and we also have a chance to be streamed, and we have play a better court in front of the whatever amateurs and crowd going on. And the response have been pretty good so far. So
great.
And now APP kind of came back again, infused more money into their tournament next year, and that was my ultimate goal when I started it.
Yeah.
And I may say, hey, I'm done because APP is back, and we all can be happy with APP and play MPL, and that's it. But when you start something, you already plan some things going on. So next year is going to be 16 tour stops nationwide, and especially on 2 of these events, we're going to be, without saying too much right now, but the prize money on those events are going to be unheard of in senior pros. And the facility that we're playing at will be the best in the country. And I cannot disclose where or when or how or anything yet, but I am super excited about those opportunities and putting senior pros back where it should be.
Absolutely. And by the way, congratulations. And and thank you, because, I think that's the thing that maybe the open pros can take away from the seniors is y'all have taken things into your own hands. You're not necessarily waiting for something to happen. You're doing things on your own, and you're organized on some level to do that. And I think that's something that anybody entering a pro game can aspire to be, is like, don't just wait for somebody else to do it. If you see things and you don't like the direction they're going, see what you can do. You may not be able to take it all on. Obviously, it's a team effort, but it's good to see folks do that, like yourself, and obviously the folks who are doing at MPL. Paul, what are your thoughts on where the senior pro game is currently and where it could go? Because you're involved with playing NPL as well. So
I think it's, we went through a rough patch there, over the past year, but with Mattias's help and Rick and Beth and Michael Chen with NPL, they're doing a lot of really good things. And like anything is starting out, it's, nothing's perfect, but they're making, including Mattias and, Dave Furman and Steve Dawson, I think as well, a lot of really smart individuals that have been around the game for quite some time are doing their best to make it better for, people our age and give them the ability to play this as a profession. There's a lot of us that are doing this as a profession, and is it a second career? Well, yeah, we're old. But we can still walk, and we're still physically active, and we want to make the most of it and enjoy it. Who doesn't love competition? I mean, and that makes it all the much better. And, you get to hang out with people that have similar interests, and it's fun. And so I like where it's going. And, there's a lot of people out there that are interested in not only playing with us, but watching us and learning from us. And, I think we do have a lot to offer, and I'm thankful for people like Mattias and his team and the leadership from MPL, because they're doing wonderful things. And the APP, has been with us, and there's so many changes, and they're doing their best too. And they're coming. They want the champions around, and they're doing their best to incentivize us to come and play their events, and and we are. If somebody can help pay for some of these expenses, and a little bit of prize money along the way, that goes a long way.
Absolutely. And I have said it ad nauseum, if anybody has not seen champions level pickleball live, they don't know what they're missing. The level of play is, I was blown away. And I follow this and I comment on it, and I watch a ton of it online, but to step out there and stand next to a fence and watch the level of play that y'all are doing it's really it's impressive. And like I mentioned earlier, the amount of events that you play in a tournament and the, throughout the year, and the physicality of the game, it's impressive, and it's to be honored. And I'm glad that it's finally being honored and taken into your own hands, so to speak. And it's cool to see, Mattias and yourself helping, people that are either open pros and you're on this, on the bench, or the next gen and you're on the bench, and showing folks the ropes a little bit, because I think this is a game that's built on community and, in giving back. And that's what I see, I think, the most out of the Champions pros is they're giving back a lot. They're creating things and they're teaching and they're going out there, and all at the same time still working on their game. So before we go here, we'll start with Mattias. Anything that you want to, talk about that's upcoming for you, if you're doing any clinics, if you got any tournaments that are coming up, things you're excited about to get us out of here. So
no, we just added another Senior Pro Tour event that I'm excited about in Harker Heights, Texas, the 8th to 10th of December. They're going to be a fun little event, so it has not been on the calendar before that. So I'm looking forward to all the senior pros getting together there and have a year-end event.
Right on. Paul, how about yourself? Anything you want to talk about before we go?
Nothing out of the ordinary. Getting ready to go to Dallas this weekend, and I think Mattias is double dipping. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mattias, but you're playing singles in Las Vegas, and then couldn't pass the chance up of seeing me, and you're going to head out to Dallas as well for singles, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did get that right, but I didn't know that you were playing in Dallas. If I would have known, I probably would have stayed away from it, actually. But you were late registration there, Paul. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to see you, though.
Fair enough. Yeah. So that, part of the problem, it's not a problem, I will say. It's something that we have to think about. So like when we played doubles in Sacramento, no, I forget, when we played singles the first day in Sacramento, and we destroyed ourselves. It was like 108 degrees.
Oops.
And then we had to play doubles the next day, and we were done. And then in Denver, this was probably the hard thing, is we won doubles together, but then the singles was delayed. So just after we won the doubles, we had to go out there and finish our singles final match. So that was a really hard transition, because one of us was going to be disappointed. And I think we both were at the end of that day, because it would have been better just to end and doubles. I don't know why I got on that subject, but more battles to come with Mattias in the coming months.
Right. And more planning, guys. Come on, let's figure this out. You got to keep your you got to be ready for your A game, and you can't just get fried. If it's 108, you don't need to play singles.
That's true.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate the time and the friendship, the rivalry, and what you're doing for Champions Pro Pickleball and what you continue to do on the court. And love to talk to you both down the road, because I think big things are coming for the Champions Pro, with Senior Pro Tour, some APP stuff, and obviously NPL. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Hope you enjoyed our interview with Paul and Mattias. Two really cool guys, high skill level. If you get a chance to see Champions Pro Ball, get out there, whether it's the Senior Pro Tour or the National Pickleball League or any event that is out there. Seeing it in person is a completely different experience, and you can see the level and skill up close. All right, folks, you know what to do. Hey, let's pickle.